Joining me now is staff writer for The Atlantic and author of Thank You for Your Servitude, Donald Trump's Washington and the Price of Submission, Mark Leibovich. Mark, thank you for joining me on this eventful.
This is momentous. I'm the first guest on the first show. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my honor to have you here to talk about a big deal. I mean, I think it's a primary night, but it is in a lot of ways a reckoning for the Republican Party. And I think we should probably read a lot into what's happening in Wyoming.
Yeah, I don't remember in all my years covering politics a Wyoming Republican primary being a event that felt big. But this does feel big because I think we all know the result probably is that Liz Cheney will lose. But it also, as she has said, and this sounds like a rationalization, but it's not, it's the beginning of something. I think she is not going to go anywhere. I think she will get a lot of attention going forward with the January 6th commission. And look, I mean, she's made it a pretty firm objective of hers to bring down Donald Trump. That is her goal. I'd be shocked if she even mentioned Harriet Hageman tonight, maybe more than once in a cursory sort of, I just received a phone call or I just called, whatever. But no, it's a big night, and I think, it will sort of signify a step forward, but also it'll be sad in some ways.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that can she take on Donald Trump from outside the Republican Party? We'll talk about that in a second. Harriet Hageman is, of course, her challenger who is likely to win this primary. Right. But I mean, I think it bears it's worth sort of marinating in what's happening here. That, we went through Liz Cheney's record and who she actually is, right? You just set aside January 6th for a moment and look at someone who voted for Donald Trump, with Donald Trump 93% of the time, the daughter of Dick Cheney, a deep red conservative. You were on the ground in Wyoming. None of that matters anymore.
It doesn't. And it was stunning to hear how people say, look, this is the one issue that does matter, which is democracy, which transcends everything. And I will say this, you can go issue by issue and look at Liz Cheney's voting record over the last 5-6 years since she's been in Congress and since Donald Trump was in the White House. She's actually been very principled. She's a true conservative. She's a lot more impressive and a lot tougher than a lot of her Republican colleagues. That was true then. It's true now. Now, that's not to excuse some things that, you might question her on now. But ultimately, she has taken this fight very directly and in a very gutsy way, in a way that people are very privately, very sort of, I think, envious of in her caucus. And it, frankly, bottom line, it's been very effective. I think the January 6th committee has been very effective, and her colleagues have been fairly scared of her in some ways.
I mean, I guess I also meant that statement, none of that matters anymore, as a testament to how far the Republican Party has strayed, right? None of the very real things she did while as a congressperson count. There are lawn signs instead all over Wyoming that say, fire Liz.
Right. No, and she is using terms like cult of personality. Now, that's usually more of a commentator notion, right? I mean, you don't actually hear Republicans say it's become a cult of personality in many cases. Liz Cheney is talking about this. The people she talks about on the stump that she admires these days are Democratic women congressmen. Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan.
Mikey Sherrill
of New Jersey. Houlihan of Pennsylvania. I mean, go down the list. And yes, I mean, she's going to be dismissed as, okay, she's just a Nancy Pelosi, Trojan horse or something. But no, it's not true. I mean, she is someone who I think stands much more firmly on principle than most of her colleagues do.
What about Harriet Hageman? I think it is poetic, either symmetry or asymmetry. Harriet Hageman was a never Trumper in 2016. This is not someone who supported the president and has come full circle all the way around. And for the people of Wyoming, that seems to apparently be enough. I don't want to say that's a fait accompli, but it appears that she will be the nominee.
Look, for Donald Trump, it's enough. Donald Trump wants fealty. It's just the whole party needs to be bowing to him. And look, she will hardly be alone among Republicans in her caucus who had no use for Donald Trump in 2016, even as late as 2018. They all privately speak quite disparagingly of him. And I don't think, I haven't talked to her, but look, this is something we have seen a lot of.
You talk about the Republicans who speak disparagingly of Trump, and you basically wrote a book about the, I will say, fecklessness of some elected members of Congress. I want to quote from your book. The wonder of this was that many Republicans agree with Cheney, quite a few of them members of her caucus. They say as much, tell her what a great job she's doing, how heroic she's been. But they only ever tell her this privately, always privately, just between you and me. Please don't repeat this off the record, okay? one wonders if their days in Congress are numbered as well. Because what you are seeing in these primary races across the country is a new brand of Republican who is a true believer and believes that the election is stolen, believes that Donald Trump must and should be the next president or still the president, depending on, where you land. And the people who quietly acknowledge, oh, but this is all clownish. This is all a fallacy.
Right.
Are the ones on their way out.
No, yes, eventually. We've seen how loyalty works for Donald Trump. But the working title for this book when I was working on it was They All Know Better. And they do. Now, actually, what you have now are new members of Congress who probably don't know better.
Well,
I think
right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene might actually be a true believer. Lauren Boebert might be a true believer. So you have actual true Trump believers. Who knows what this is going to look like in a few years, and we'll be longing for the statesmanship of Marjorie Taylor Greene, right?
From your mouth, wow. The statesmanship of Marjorie Taylor Greene is not something we think, but the unbelievable cascade of events that have happened over the last 6 years.
And he's still here. And look, Liz Cheney said repeatedly, this is a sick party. This is not something you say when you want the nomination of said sick party. She is running against the entire party, what it has become. I think she's willing to lose for it. I have a great deal of respect for that.
You also posit in The Atlantic that you think she's going to run for president. I'll read the excerpt. It would almost certainly be another losing primary for her, yet it would nonetheless be a fascinating matchup, much more compelling than any challenge a Trump derivative character such as Ron DeSantis or Mike Pence could ever pose. It's hard to imagine DeSantis or Pence seriously mocking Trump for losing to Brandon in 2020, or challenging his election lies, or slamming him for his complicity and desertion on January 6th, or mentioning the FBI search of his residence or his need to plead the fifth, may I add, 450 times. Absolutely. Do you really think Liz Cheney is going to run?
Absolutely. I don't think she's going to win, but I think that having her up on a debate stage would be a nightmare for Donald Trump. It would be a nightmare for a lot of Republican allies. It would be a nightmare for the RNC.
But why is it a nightmare? They seem so adept at brushing it off.
Because she runs circles around her colleagues. I think we have seen how effective she can be in a very clipped, sort of lawyerly, very fact-based, frankly, disdain for what has gone on. And she does have facts on her side. She has the truth on her side. She has history on her side. And she's much smarter than the people who she is fighting against. Look, it's one man's opinion, but I actually stand by it. So, look, you don't see a lot of self-doubt with her. One of the things that's been striking to me in talking to the Kevin McCarthys of the world over the last couple of years in writing this book is that a lot of these folks don't seem all that happy. That when they talk about Donald Trump, they seem ambivalent. Like, yes, they're delivering their lines, but I don't think it's very fun to be sort of fighting for something they fundamentally are scared of and don't believe in. And Liz Cheney doesn't have that problem.
Yeah, well, I will also say the door is open to have fun and tell the truth. They just don't seem to want to walk through it.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, it'll be interesting. I'll be fascinated to see her speech tonight because I think it will actually have the ring of a forward-looking, this is what the future is going to look like for Liz Cheney's speech.
Well, we will bring all of that to you as it happens. Mark Leibovich, staff writer at The Atlantic. Thank you, my friend, for helping kick off the festivities tonight.
Thank you, Alex.